Welcome to Face, the program
that frontally discusses
political and social issues in Nigeria. The weekly program brought to you on Wednesday by 6 p.m. Nigerian time, anchored by Prince Ewemade Concourse, powered by GCSDN.
Join us.
Good evening and welcome to today's edition of our face-to-face program. Our topic for today is, can Nigerians still have faith in the National Electoral Commission, which is the INEC? Looking at recent events, all National Electoral Commissioners are members of the ruling party. They are expected to be impartial and unbiased referee in the electoral process in Nigeria. However, recent events have led Nigerians to question their neutrality in all that has been going on in our country, Nigeria. For those of you who does not understand the responsibility and the works of National Electoral Commission, they are the one charged with overseeing the electoral process that brings in elected politicians into office in Nigeria. And they are supposed to be unbiased referee in the entire process. They are not supposed to be a member of any of these political parties. They are supposed to be neutral. So with the recent event that has been going on in the country, Nigerians are beginning to question the neutrality of the so-called INEC, the commissioners, and the national chairman of the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is INEC. There are quite a lot of outcry from Nigerians from different political parties other than the ruling party that the INEC has been part and parcel of the ruling party. We also saw what transpired during the 2023 general election and subsequently presidential election that took place in February. How the electoral umpire played a very vital role in enabling the ruling party to be declared as the winner of the election, which was not supposed to be the case. There are quite a lot of cases, but before I continue my analysis on this topic today, let me just play a quick clip on this topic before we continue.
Represented Peter Obi and the Labour Party during their legal challenge at the tribunal and the Supreme Court. What was it like trying to gather the evidence you needed to support your case and having to deal with INEC in that regard?
You see, it's an unfortunate situation that the judiciary, that is the arm of government that have been given onerous responsibility and grievous responsibility of stabilizing democracy, appears with respect that some of the decisions have created more roadblocks for those who lost election to prove the allegations in the petition. And I must commend Parliament because following the outcry of Nigerians that the election petitions are difficult to prove, Parliament introduced Section 137 of the Electoral Act to say that where there is obvious non-compliance in the face of the documents, then you can look at the document and make pronouncements. But the insistence of some of our courts that you must call host of witnesses, including polling unit by polling unit agents of political parties, for me had put a spanner in the growth and development of democracy in Nigeria. And I have written that if our judiciary can take judicial notice of who goes to television station and who address the press after court proceedings and maybe angry or upset for such a conduct, they must also, in the same vein, take judicial notice of the conduct of Nigerian politicians. For instance, How many political parties do we have in Nigeria? There are more than 18. And now you are expecting that party agents have a carbonized copies of the result sheets. How legible are those carbonized sheets of the result sheets? Now, Parliament in their wisdom said, we are going to use beavers machine, and that once elections are conducted at a polling unit, the beavers machine is used to scan and then uploaded on IREF. Then we came to our judiciary, who we trusted will now hold INEC responsible for the INEC accountable and responsible for the innovations introduced in its own manner, that beavers become sacrosanct in determining the credibility and the integrity of election. For the court to say that beavers plays no significant role until you have gone through the processes and that you can manually collate results. For me, those decisions have taken Nigerian democracy from 21st century to 13th century or Stone Age, where we no longer recognize the importance of technology. So for me, proving election petition, I was in the legal team of P2B, and no doubt, in that legal team, we were able, for instance, to get certified true copies of over 18,000 blood images uploaded on IREF. There were subpoena issues on INEC for documents to be produced. INEC did not produce these documents. At a point in time, it got to a level that an institution that was in disobedience to series of court orders, mark you, subpoena is orders of court. Institution that was not respecting a court order got a pat on the back by no single sentence, either in the Court of Appeal or in the Supreme Court, condemning that attitude. Indeed, the referee became more of an attack in the field of litigation than even those who were recruited to engage in the attack. There were a series of objections coming from INEC, which ought not to be. So then you come to the argument that you must front load a subpoena witness statement along with the petition. I do not think that is possible. Are we saying that if I needed a document from INEC and I must then get court order, front load INEC statement, who will sign it? Will INEC staff sign it? So we must go back.
Right. So there were a lot of complications.
There were a lot
and
of
challenges for you,
and roadblocks,
and that made it
put in
difficult.
The way of petitioners.
Right. That made it difficult for you to effectively prove your
Not
case.
only making it difficult, it makes it so difficult and uphill task
impossible
that it was, to use the language of one of my famous profession, it was impossible. It was impossible. It could not, because the document that we needed to have, indeed, you may recall that even the demand for payments of CTC of documents became so outrageous.
My fellow Nigerians, did you just hear that the National Electoral Commission, the independent, they're supposed to be independent, unbiased, and umpire in the affairs and in the conduct of election matters in Nigeria. You can hear from the senior advocate of Nigeria, from what is just said, that it became so impossible for them to obtain document for them to substantiate their claim in court. The INEC are supposed to be independent of all this. They are supposed to provide both candidates or every candidate that is involved in an election matter with the necessary documentation, because they are the one that issued those documents to these contestants for them to go to court and prove their case. In most of the time, they say go to court. When you go to court, but the INEC become an obstacle towards you or enabling you to prove your case because they know they've done something wrong. So this is a very sad moment in the history of our great country. We thought INEC were doing better when they came up with the issue of beaver machine, electronic transmission, and the money they got during the election to conduct the election. About 300 something billion that was allocated to them. Even the European Union also gave them some money to support them to enable a free and fair, credible election in Nigeria. But this was different from what they did. The reality on ground was different. We all vividly remember when Professor Mahmoud Yakubu came to Chatham House to give a speech that everything was going to be done live from the polling unit direct to the national server, where every Nigerian could have access to view the electoral result. But that did not happen. That did happen. It's very unfortunate. Nigerians have lost faith on the electoral process in Nigeria. And how do we get this right the wrong? It is a very difficult task. Considering the man in the ends of affairs in Nigeria today was a beneficiary to this fraudulent activity. So it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a task that is impossible, because it's going to buy this same person will want to run for a second tenure. So it's going to be impossible for us to achieve anything meaningful, anything good. Professor Yakubu Jega did extremely well. Nigerians will remember him they will remember him after the incident of the 2023 general election. He did extremely well, considering the recent election that was conducted in Nigeria and all other subsequent elections. I will also take you to the case of Kogi State, where Dino Melaye, one of the frontrunner of the People Democratic Party, also had cause to cry out against the injustice that was perpetrated against him and his party during the governorship election that were conducted a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm going to play you that so you can also hear from Dino Melaye.
And the rule of law. But the tragedy today is the judiciary over the years have not lived up to the expectation fully on matters of electoral justice. Worse still, it has now been captured by APC, and it's now the weakest link for the subversion of democracy in Nigeria. What a disgrace and shame to the largest black race of the world. A democracy without a rule of law and a courageous judiciary has in it an inner virus that will lead to its destruction. The common saying that judiciary is the last hope of aggrieved citizens is now an empty slogan, because the judiciary is truly now the lost hope of the people of Nigeria. Odious vermin that ever presided over election
We are having some technical glitches there. So to summarize, the recent election that was conducted in Kogi State, Imo State, and Imo State, for example, also the result that came out during the governorship election was different from the one that came out during the presidential election. There was some area in Olu that they recorded so much numbers of people, whereas there was nobody probably living there. The people that were living there were fewer than the number that were recorded. So Nigerians have lost faith in the Independent National Electoral Commission. And if Nigeria was a country that it ought to be, the chairman of INEC would have long time resigned from that position, considering uh, all the conduct that were, all the things that were, all the issues that emanated from the conduct of the election. It would have resigned from that position, and also probably possibly be persecuted, because first he lied to Nigerians when he came to Chatham House. He lied to Nigeria when he collected 350 billion to prosecute the election. He lied to Nigeria when he said election result will be transmitted right from the polling unit. Why did they come out with technology? It was to avert all this irregularity in the electoral process. But at the end of the day, we came back to the same square one. Just like the son said, that we are back to the Stone Age. Yes, Nigerians, we are back to the Stone Age when it comes to electoral issues in Nigeria, election matters in Nigeria. It's very sad that we're supposed to be taking 5 steps forward. Now we took 5 steps forward and 23 steps backward. We are back to the era of ringing and ringing and rigging. This is not the Nigeria that we wish for. The current president of Nigeria, not my president. I always say that it's not my president; it's their president. And without no apology to anyone, it's not my president; it's Nigerian president. And if he actually wants to write his name in the book of history, not in the dustbin of history, but in the golden book of history, he should be able to right some of the wrong, even though he has been a beneficiary, just like what late my president Yaradua did. Yaradua came into power with the help of former president Olusegun Obasanjo, even though Nigerians all knew how the election was conducted and everything. But when he came into power, he did something good for Nigerians. It made sure that the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, were truly independent. All the election that was conducted under the watch of that man was free and fair. They gave back some of the state that was taken forcefully through electoral malpractices by other parties. They gave it back to the rightful owner. It was during that period that Adams Oshiomhole was giving back his mandate. That's what a good man would do. Someone with a conscience, that's what they would do. I don't think the current president has a conscience. I don't see him as someone who has a conscience. And if he does, then he needs to prove that to Nigerians. It's left for him to prove to Nigerians that he can and he will make the Nigeria Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, truly independent. And no members of the ruling party should be made commissioner, because they are supposed to be independent umpire, not a card-carrying member of any political party. They are supposed to be truly independent. That is why it's called Independent National Electoral Commission. So when you have a card of APC as a political party, that does not make you independent. You already, you're part of it. So you're going to do all you can and to make sure your party wins, in order for you to continue to be reappointed as the commissioner to a certain state or a certain region. This is not the Nigeria that we wish for. This is not the Nigeria that we yearn for. My fellow compatriots and my fellow Nigerians home and abroad, I think it's time for us to begin to speak, begin to do all we can, and see how we can change the narrative of our great country. We are too rich to be poor. We are too blessed to be asking for foreign help or foreign donor to come to our aid. We have what it takes to be the greatest nation on earth. We have what it takes to be the giant of the world, not just the giant of Africa alone, but the giant of the world, because all eyes are on Nigeria, all over east, west, south, north, from all over the globe. Their eyes is on Nigeria, coming to take whatever they can. So my people, I'm going to leave you at this point in time, and I hope to see you again on my next episode. Thank you, and God bless you.